Good day. So what we have in front of us is an Eico HF81 integrated tube amplifier. I've been asked over the years to put together a video to document what the issues are with these amplifiers and how to get one of these back up and all restored so that it works perfectly in today's systems. I've noticed other videos out there, and basically all people do is just have them on for a minute or two and just show playing music, and there's very little information that's being shared. So I just thought I'd go through and do a little more info on this. There'll be a link to the website, which has been up for about 25 years, that gives you a full detailed restoration, how you can check all the output transformers and everything like that. So I'll put a link on that at the bottom, and you can have a look. So these Eicos, they were sold in New York in the late 1950s, 60s. You could get these as a kit, or you could get them as a factory assembled unit. How to tell if there's a factory assembled unit is all the tube sockets and terminal boards on the top of the chassis have been all put in with pop rivets. If they're all screws, then it was a kit. And these amplifiers are basically 14 watt a channel utilizing EL84 tubes. They have a 12AX7 pre-driver for each channel, which is an AF gain, and a half for the 12AX7, and the second half is the phase inverter feeding each of the EL34 tubes. 84 tubes, sorry. It uses 12AU7 tubes for the preamp stage and two 12AX7 tubes for the phono stage. So just quickly looking at the front before I take the cage off. Okay, so let's go through what all the buttons at the front do. We have a selector control on this side that allows you to select your line inputs, phono. There's a lot of other inputs here that are no longer being used, along with this tape head switch. That'll all be eliminated during the restoration. The second button is a blend control. Basically, it'll allow you to play only the channel 1, which is the left, only channel 2, normal, or reverse. Some people prefer not to have these in the signal path. Some people like to. Next, we have the focus control. Focus control is very similar to a balance control, but it does not completely shut off one channel and the other. Meaning if I turn it all the way to the left channel will work. There is still an image over on the right channel. Same thing vice versa. If you put it on the right, you'll have more gain over on that side, but hardly any over here. And the main purpose of this is to center your image between your two speakers. So if you feel that the image is slightly to the right, move the control to the left a little bit, and that should take care of your image. These will all get checked out when they're all being restored. They all get cleaned, deoxed, and all values will be checked to make sure they're within spec. Next is the bass control. There's two halves. The outer half is the channel 1, which is the left. The inner one is the right. It's basically a good idea to keep them right in the middle. The next control is your treble control. Again, the outer one is channel 1, which is the left, and the inner control is the right channel, but this also acts as the on-off switch on this particular amplifier, which is not a really good thing. A lot of these over time fail, and the problem is you have to turn the thing on and off. Every time you turn this thing, you're actually wearing the wafer on that particular pot, and these pots being 500K with a 250K tap are virtually impossible to find anymore. I happen to have a few wafers that I picked up from a fellow that was cleaning his warehouse out, but so that's the basic controls on the front of the unit. Okay, now with the top mesh cage off, we're going to go through what everything does in here. You'll notice on the right side the power transformer is missing, and this was done intentionally so that the owner that sent it, it actually lowers the weight of the overall package by about 7 to 8 pounds. And since that transformer is going to be replaced with a high bore new transformer. We would just leave things the way they are, and basically I'll go through the rest of it here. This is the left output transformer, right output transformer. These are the two EL84 tubes for the left channel. These two are for the right channel. Next are your 12AX7 pre-drivers. These are the 12AU7 preamp tubes, and your phono tubes are over here, two 12AX7s. And the rectifier tubes are just behind the little metal cage here to protect from interference getting into the treble bass controls, and they're EZ81 rectifier tubes. So the issues with this amplifier, as is, and even as a kit, the phono section I'll go over later, that it causes a fair bit of hum that can be fixed by eliminating this selector switch and putting in a 6x2 switch. We will discuss that later. This on-off switch over here is an issue. So to eliminate that, I've seen some people put them in the back. The problem is you have nowhere to mount your power cords at the back. So what I do, I use this switch right here in the front, the tape head switch. It no longer serves any purpose. That's a perfect place to put an on-off switch, and the power gets run underneath to the power transformer, and you have solid connection using the receptacle at the back there, along with beside the fuse. The other issues with this amp are the output of the power transformers. These high bore transformers that were manufactured in 1958 to 62, somewhere in that range, for the Eicos, they were made to operate at about 110 to 115 volts. Nowadays we're seeing 120, 125 volts. So the extra voltage on these transformers starts taking a toll on them. What'll happen is they'll start running hot, they'll vibrate, and eventually, if you look at the picture here, there's wax that drips out of them. And you see any signs of this, that transformer needs to be replaced. Also, all the heaters for all the tubes except for the EZ81s are all off of two green wires off of the 6.3 volt heater. So you add all these up and you're right at the limit of the transformer. That again is causing more heat. So what I'll end up doing is replacing this with a brand new transformer, and it's basically going to get a complete restoration. Like every side front cover knobs will come off of this thing, every tube socket, transformers, everything removed. The chassis will be cleaned, and then the back will have some new lettering so you can see what's going on with the input jacks. So I'll go to that next and just give you a quick show of the back, what it looks like. Okay, so here we're looking at the back of the unit. As you can see, they're pretty dirty, and this, of course, you can see all the screws at the top, meaning it was done by, it was a kit done by an amateur. And first of all, you can't tell what any of these connections do, these inputs. People have put pencil marks in here. It's not a very good system. Here are your speaker terminals. These are, first of all, you can see these are installed wrong. The terminal strip should be on the outside because look at the screws are very close to touching the chassis. So these will end up being replaced with 3 binding posts, the ground, a 4 ohm and an 8 ohm. These jacks will all end up being replaced with gold jacks. And I think that's all there is in there. Next we'll go give a quick shot of what's going on underneath. Okay, with the front cover off and the sides off, I just wanted to quickly go over one thing I missed. This was the volume pot. I didn't show that on the last video there. And another item is the labeling at the back of the jacks. Even though there was nothing put on by the manufacturer, by Eico, if you go into the manual itself, there is actually a little chart, and actually Eico gave a sticker out that you could actually paste on the bottom of the bottom cover, so you could reference and see what your inputs were. If I grab a picture, I'll insert one in if I have one in my files somewhere. Okay, as you can see now, everything's been removed from the chassis. The chassis has been cleaned. The back has been all labeled with the new inputs that are going to be installed, gold jacks, and along with the other part there above the jack board. The next thing that'll happen here is tube sockets will start being installed, and we'll start with the heater wiring. If you're doing a full restore like this, it's best to grab the construction manual, follow along how they do it, because it is essential that you follow their order of the heater wiring, ground wires first, and not go out of sequence, because it does make a matter of how the components are installed, and you want to have the grounds close to the chassis and be right at the bottom. So you'll see in the next video the progression of the tube sockets installed and the heater wiring. Okay, so with the chassis clean now, all the tube sockets and terminal boards have been reinstalled and cleaned. I'll show you the underneath in a second. So what I use here is belt and 9-pin sockets. So for the top sockets, which are your 12AX7 and your 12AU7 preamp and your 212AX7 phono section, I use the top mount sockets, which are here by Belden. That way you can put on a new bottom for your heat for your shield. Then the rest of the sockets are the bottom mount Beltons, shown below here. And next, here is the bottom section now of the chassis. It's all been cleaned. There's no oxidization, so we have good connections here. All the terminal strips, every one of those was removed. All the old wires were stripped and unsoldered. They were done with a brush and completely cleaned off, ready for new installation. One thing I wanted to point out is that from the picture earlier on, or the video earlier on, I showed the top of the chassis that was still dirty. The builder actually used the wrong screws. He used 6/32 screws to mount all the tube sockets, where he should have been using the 440 screws, and vice versa. The 6/32s should be used for the terminal strips. So that's all been fixed properly. So the next time you'll see this, there'll be heater wiring will be starting to be done, and we'll go from there. Okay, so the next phase here, the heater wiring has all been completed. The 100 ohm hum pod has also been installed. Also wanted to give a little better shot of the back, as the last video didn't show clearly all the labeling. So you can see it a little better on this video. And down below, you can see the heater wiring has all been completed now. So the next thing will be the new high bore power transformer. We'll go from there. Okay, what we have here is one of the new high bore power transformers that's going to get installed into this unit. So you can see that their product number is a 30021, which is the same number as the original, because high bore did manufacture these in 1958 through 62 roughly. They're now make an upgraded version. You can get the regular version, which is 30021-1, which is exact same size as the original, but this is the -2 version. I get these specially made by Highboard. They take about 4 months, and you have to buy a minimum of 2. They provide about a 1/4 inch more steel, and the draw on the green 6.3 volt heaters is increased to an extra amp. That way the power transformer will remain cool. Another thing is, here's the filter capacitor. The original filter capacitor was 20 microfarads at 400 volts, and then 2 sections of 40 microfarads at 350 volts. New ones I get made up are from Hayseed Hamfest. So we've now increased the voltage and the capacitance. So first section is 50 at 400. The next 2 are 50 microfarads at 350. This will help in the filtering of the overall DC supply. Okay, so you can see here the Highboard transformer has been installed. All the connections made to the HF81 tubes. That'd be the red wires on the left side here. The grounds from the Highboard transformer over to this ground point. The green 6.3 volt heaters over here to the hum pot, and the yellow 6.3 volt heaters for the 2 HF81 tubes. Also, some of the grounding has been starting to be laid off. This will eventually be connected to this terminal. And the hot wires for the input to the 120 volt input into the power transformer. One side has been connected to the fuse holder. It'll get shrunk so there's no visible AC that you can touch with your fingers. That way everything's nice and safe. Same with this terminal. It'll eventually get heat shrink also. That'll come from the switch, and this wire at the back will go to the AC plug when it gets installed. So just to let you know that, just going back a few minutes in the video, you'll see that I posted the bottom of the chassis showing that sticker that Eico gave you that shows you where the tube placements go and the connections for the rear of the jacks. So right now at this stage, what's been done is this the filter capacitor can cap has been installed, and all the treble and bass controls with the PEC boards, wiring, etc. has all been completed. And now next we'll go down below. Okay, so down below you'll see all the wires coming from the bass and treble controls here to the terminal strips, the yellow, brown, gray, green wires, etc. Also, we've installed the two 40 microfarad 450 volt caps for the first and second sections of the filtering, along with the 350 ohm 10 watt. That feeds the orange wires, which goes to pin 9 of all the ELF84 tubes, which are your screens. And the first section, just at this time, just ends up at that terminal there, the red wire. That's where the center taps for the transformers will go. Also, off the pin 9 screen grids, you'll see a 4.7K 2-watt resistor. That'll eventually go down to the terminal board shown beside the two 12AX7 pre-drivers, and that'll feed those pre-driver the B plus for the two 12AX7 pre-drivers, and that'll be a connection over to the first section of the filter cap. Okay, you can see the output transformers have been reinstalled into the amp. Just a curious little thing here. The proper number on the output transformers is 32013. I've never seen them really put in paint like that. Normally they're stamped right into the metal, but this is a little different. Same with the one over on this side. And another thing I just missed was that filter capacitor is actually 50 microfarads at 450 volts at the first section. I said previously it was 50 at 400. Now we'll have a look down below. Okay, so you can see the connections from the output transformers have all been connected now. The blue wire here from the output transformer goes to pin 7. The brown one on this channel goes to pin 7. The other transformer, same thing. The blue goes to pin 7. The brown yellow goes to pin 7 in that tube. Also, you can see that the center tap of the transformers has all been connected to the main B plus line here in this terminal strip. Also, the output tubes, the cathodes, pin 3s have been joined together with two 330 3-watt resistors in parallel to give you the 165 ohm, because 165 ohm are almost impossible to try and find, and along with a 50 microfarad 50 volt capacitor across that. Then they end up going to ground eventually. Here the ground will be done properly, and same with this channel, they're all done. And you can see that the B plus going to the 212AX7 pre-drivers has all been laid out, and going over to the first section of the filter capacitor, and then the orange wire is the next B plus feeding the 12AU7 pre-driver, or 12AU7 preamp tubes. And that filter cap will have a 22K resistor going from the red to the orange, and then a 68K going to the next section, which will eventually end up feeding the two phono tubes. So the next time here, we'll be starting to add in all the components to the pre-driver section and the caps that feed the cap. So the unit is well underway here. We also have to put in some binding posts at the back to connect all the speaker wires to, and start putting in the RCA jacks for the line out, and then eventually last will be your other inputs over on this side here, feeding the additional line inputs and the phono section. Just a quick update here on the speaker terminal backing boards. I buy them in 2x4 sheets here, as you can see the long strip, and get them cut 19 millimeters wide. And then basically what I do is just cut them down to size, and they end up being the same length as the original terminal boards. Then I just measure each end for the screw terminals, and then in between to put on all the binding posts. You'll see that next when they're all installed. Okay, so you'll see the picture that I posted there, just showing the pieces of material there that I use for mounting the speaker terminals on. And you can see now that they're completely installed in there. All the speaker connections have been put on the posts. You'll see the blacks, the 4 ohm tap in the middle, and the 8 ohm. Fortunately, on the one channel there, the 8 ohm tap, the green wire was short, so we had to add a piece and heat shrunk one end. Next, you'll start seeing the rest of the connections being made, and I also have the RCA jacks here to show you in a second. Okay, so you can see the boards that I've made up for the RCA jacks. The one on the left is will go on the far right underneath for the phono and the line, one of the line ends. The middle is the auxiliary A and B's, and it'll mount to that little chassis up above, and the one on the right will be your line outs. Just how this will quickly look is, that's basically how it's going to end up looking when it's all complete. Okay, to continue, you can see a lot more progress has been made. The line out jacks have been installed, the cables run down to the two terminal strips for the right channel and for the left channel. We've done the feedback components. That's off the 16 ohm tap of each output transformer. There's a 22K with a 47 picofarad capacitor in parallel, and that feeds back to pin 8 of the 212AX7 pre-drivers. Also, you can see the rest of the components have now been installed for the 12AX7 pre-drivers. The 100K 2-watt resistor for pin 1. We're using PIO K40Y-9 capacitors to go from the pre-driver section to each of the EL84 tubes. I prefer to use 2-watt carbon film resistors in anywhere that it touches the plate or anywhere in the signal path carbon films. And you can see all the silver micas there also. And it's motoring along quite well. Another thing to note, anywhere that you see the grounds, like this ground terminal strip here, what I've done is I've actually run a black wire over to the other terminal strip, which would normally just go to chassis, and then another wire continuing over to the other ground point. That way now you have all these nice ground points put together, because Eico was just using a ground point, and eventually these ground points over time could get dirty and oxidize, and you'd start getting higher resistance. By putting these all together, that eliminates that. Same with over on these terminals here. There's a ground on each of those. The two grounds have been joined together, run over to the other ground bar there, little ground strip that has the 330s and the 47 off of your cathodes, along with the black speaker terminals. They all go to that particular connection, and then from there we go to the main ground bar bus down here. So that's pretty well motoring on here. Like I've just a quick mention here, this is my first video that I've ever done, and I've tried to not have to go back and do any editing at all, so I'm just doing this as we speak, and so hopefully you're getting a little bit out of this, and it'll help you restore your unit. Next we'll go into the 12AU7 preamps section. We'll install all the caps, resistors there, also using PIOs. Then we'll move over to the phono section. Okay, so the preamp section, 12AU7 tubes, is all complete now. Just a quick note, just those resistors. The resistors shown used in the other section there, these are called Amtrans resistors. They're carbon film. The green ones are called Kwami. They're 2 watt. These are 1 watt. I prefer to have 1 watt or 2 watt in the plates. I think I mentioned that earlier. In the plates, and the cathodes are fine for a 1/2 watt, and I use all carbon film. So that section is pretty well done now. We'll just wait for the inputs coming out of the volume pot. Next we'll move to the phono section. Okay, you can see here that the phono section has now been all assembled. Everything's ready to go here. The jack board at the back has been installed. The two right ones are your phono, the left are your one of the auxiliary ins. You can see the 47K resistors on the input jacks there to match your moving magnet coil on your turntable. And I'll show you next where the RIA components go, because they were originally on the old selector control, and now they'll get moved directly to the terminal strip. This way we're eliminating less of the shielding cable going back and forth and being cut, and wires going to that selector control. This way the noise will be down to a bare minimum. There should be absolutely no hum whatsoever coming from the phono section. Okay, so here are the RIA components. Basically what it is, it's an 850 picofarad capacitor in parallel with a 90K resistor, and that's in series with a 0.0027 microfarad capacitor in parallel with a 2.2 meg resistor. Now, it's very hard to get the 850 picofarad capacitor, so what I do is use 5% silver mica, put those in parallel, then put the 90K resistor in parallel with those two. Those go in series again with the 027 2.2 meg. I'll show those next once they're all built, and then how they end up going on the chassis or the terminal strip. So there's the two components for the RIA all put together, soldered, they're ready to install in the terminal strip. And I'll show you one that's I've already installed here. If you look over here, there it is sitting there. Nothing touches the grounds, as you can see. Everything's quite away from it, and this will vastly improve the phono section in these amplifiers. Okay, I wanted to go over the 6x2 selector control we're going to use. The one at the top with the long shaft, that's the last one that I know of, that I have. There are no more. Now you have to go to the other one with the short shaft with the cut off shaft there to join the coupler in. So they're the only ones that I know of that are still available, are the ones at the bottom, and they're made by Alpha. I believe that one came from Mauser, if I'm not mistaken. I'll show you the shaft coupler here. So there is the shaft coupler that we'll be using on the one or the other. On this particular unit we'll be using the lower one, and you have to take the old selector control, which is if you look to the right of the coupler, and cut it off, because you'll be needing that to go inside of the coupler, because you need that spline on the right side so you can maintain the original knob at the front. You don't want to have any weird knobs on these things, so this maintains the original knob. Same thing will happen when we put the new Alps volume pot in. I'll be using the same shaft off of an old pot with the notch. That way we can maintain the same volume knob. That'll be coming up later. Okay, another update for you. I just wanted to give you a little better view of the RIA components there, just showing that they are well away from the grounds. It was kind of hard before. I didn't have the phone situated properly, but you can see there's no way that they're even close to that. Also, one thing that was added was the turntable ground. I forgot to add that post in. It now has a nice place for you to ground your turntable. As you can see, the Alps volume pot has been installed. The red and the green go into the pin 7s of the 12AU7 preamp tubes. The right sides get grounded. The two left ones are your input. They'll eventually go up to the focus control. And there's that'll be the on-off switch located at the front to turn the power on and off. Okay, just wanted to give you a shot from up above here. You see the jack board for the AUX A and AUX B has been installed. The wires are all run back to the front here. That's where the 6x2 switch is going to be installed. And you can see that the focus control is now in, along with the blend control. I'll give you a shot in the back here. So I just wanted to give you a quick picture of the back here. You can see now that the jack board installed. We have AUX A and we have AUX B and AM/FM. Those will be your 3-line inputs along with the phono section. Speaker terminals there, and your line out also shown there. Just a quick shot at the front here. You can see that the wiring still has to be completed to the focus control. Then we go to the blend switch, and from the blend switch over to the 6x2. Okay, one thing I wanted to point out, with those new Alpha 6x2 switches, they're a lot much longer. So what has to happen is where my ruler is, edge of my ruler, that is where the metal chassis, outside metal chassis, goes against. So what was happening with that long switch is that 20 millimeter coupler was actually sticking out quite a bit past that. So how I've rectified it is by going to the other side there and putting in a couple of washers. Bring the washers back. Now we're well within clearance of the front panel, because otherwise that'll rub against the front panel. Just so something I thought you should know about. Okay, so here's the wiring's complete now, from the focus control over to the blend switch, and all the inputs to the 6x2 switch have been installed. You can see it all. Try and zoom in a little closer here. And the next thing will just be the power cord connection, and we're done. Okay, next you can see the shaft coupler's been put on the Alps volume pot, and the small piece inside was cut off an old volume pot. That way it matches up nicely with the knob. Okay, so you can see the power cord's been installed now. The connections have been made onto the old receptacle. You can see that it's all been heat shrunk, so there's no visible AC places that you can touch. Same with the fuse holder. Both connections now are fully heat shrunk, and the green from the power cord is going to ground. So now the front cover has been installed. Next thing we'll do here is just, I like to put it on a variac and just go through before I put any tubes on, just to make sure that everything's working with the AC, or we don't have any shorts in the wiring. I usually just ohm it out and make sure that the heater wiring is all okay. That way I can before we apply any AC at all. Then I will put it on a variac and slowly just bring it up and make sure there's no issues at all with voltages, and then we'll carry on from there and install the rectifier tubes and all the power tubes and do final testing. Okay, so this is the final section here. You can see the unit has all been put together. The faceplate has all been nice and clean. That looks a lot better than it was. You'll also see a power test coming up here shortly. So basically what we ended up doing here is having a quad of VL84. These are Rogers, made in Canada, but they're actually, they say made in Canada, but they're actually XF3 EL84s. They're Holland made. In the phono section, we've got a set of 12AX7 Great Britain Mullards. Same with the AU7s. They're a set of 12 AU7 Mullards, and the pre-drivers are a pair of Amprex 12AX7, and we have a couple of Mullard EZ81s in the rectifiers. So the unit overall looks very good. It's been running 7, 8, 10 hours, and absolutely no hum. The phono section is dead quiet. The thing sounds very exceptional with all the good quality tubes in it. You'll see a power test next. Okay, so you can see in the oscilloscope here, we've put a 1 kilohertz signal into the amplifier. You can see the yellow trace is your left channel, right channel is the blue. They're both equal. 5 volts per division. We're getting about 29 volts peak to peak, which roughly works out to about 13 and a half watts RMS. So exactly where these units are rated for. So this is pretty well the end of the video. Hopefully you've got quite a bit out of this, and again, this is for information only. Hopefully it'll help you put your unit back together properly.